Welcome back to Single Tree Nation, guys. I'm your man, Charlie Evelyn, and as always, we have our illustrious co-host, Mr. Derry Wells, with us today.
What is up, everybody?
Quick shout out to our primary technology partner, Toast. They help us here in the studio and as well in the restaurant with all of the technology platforms to help us provide undeniable hospitality and the perfect plate of barbecue every single time. I am stoked, Derry, to have our guest on today.
Yeah, I think y'all know each other.
We've met a couple of times.
I'm good at context clues.
The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jason Berkowitz. How are you?
That's me applauding myself because I realize you got to do it. I've done that to myself walking up on stage or something, having a conversation. Like, I'm going to kick this off if no one else is applauding.
Hey, I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
When you did your pitch on Pitch the Tide, I actually watched it again last week and or a couple of days ago. And you started applauding right after they introduced you. I thought it was absolutely
Did I do
epic.
that?
Yes, it was
That's
wonderful.
fantastic.
I think
I didn't even know.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great
It's
that I actually backed up what I just said there. I didn't even realize
It's
it.
amazing. Look,
He
if
doesn't
you're
just
not going
talk
to
it, he
applaud,
walks it.
if you're not going to applaud for yourself, who's going to?
Right.
Makes sense to me.
Well, that's one of my favorite stories of yours, Charlie, is your wife applauding and saying, right, helping you when if they know the story, let go, coming off a brand. Are you going to work for yourself, right? Talk about having a champion on your shoulder and by your side.
She's incredible. I don't know what I'd do without her. And I don't tell her that enough. I should probably tell her that way more. But
it's one of my favorite stories. It really is. It's so cool.
You will be getting a text message in the morning. Just
Fantastic.
an FYI from me, and Derry will as well, with my wife's phone number if you don't have it, and you with a request to wish her a happy birthday.
I love it.
Because she doesn't get enough thanks and praise for the woman she is to deal with me 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
So is the birthday text, thank you for putting up with Charlie? Is that what we're doing?
That would, whatever. Just an acknowledgement that she's a special lady would be amazing for me. So,
Well, let me
Happy
ask you this
birthday,
question.
Sarah. You could do better.
Is the story true? Because I'm going to tell her it's one of my favorite stories.
it is very true. Yeah.
Yeah,
it
because
is-
I mean,
it
don't
is
let
very
the
true.
truth get in the way of a perfectly good story is also what I say. So.
Right. Yeah, no, it is, the story is 1,000% true. I was literally in my office and she came and shoved me off a cliff and told me to do what I love. So
Yeah, it's so good.
you know, I honestly think the more we tell this story that part of it is always left out on her side, because I don't think she honestly believed that I would do it. I think she thought I would go find a job instead of just, diving head first into a concrete pool to try to swim. But
She say a double dog dare you?
right. Yeah. 5 years later,
Bet
here
you
we
won't.
are.
Bet you won't. No take backs.
Here we go.
Right.
One funny story. One of my kids said something to me the other day about, you won't do it. Yeah. And my wife immediately said,
Easy.
the one person in the world you do not say that to is your father, because he's going to go do it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I went and did it. So look, enough about me. Why are we talking about me? This is about you, not about
It's about
me.
stories.
This is about stories. It is. Jason, let's go back a little bit, and why don't you tell people, because you are now in the training segment, but you've also been in the operation side. You've been in the restaurant game, pretty much every aspect of it, from leadership to scrubbing walls and plates and all the fun things that we do as restaurant operators. But why don't you give our guests, for those of our guests who don't know what and who Jason Berkowitz is, and Arrow Up, what that is, kind of give us a little bit of backstory, and then we can dive into a little bit deeper of, how you got started and all those things.
Yeah. Jason Berkowitz, longtime restaurant operator, partner. Founded Arrow Up Training 7 years ago. We are an online program and courses that help restaurants satisfy their compliance, right? Anti-harassment to safety. We do leadership development, and we help them level up their teams. And the idea is to build training for restaurant by restaurant operators. We're a weird bunch. And as compliance became more mandatory, I was like, all right, someone's got to jump into this game who's been there, and let's talk about the gray area. Let's talk about the weird stuff. Let's get in, tell stories. Let's not smack everybody's wrist. Let's not throw out the baby with the bathwater, right? Let's keep a bit of the freak and the quirkiness while moving hopefully to a healthier version of the restaurant. And so, or of the culture, which I love so much. I launched a couple of years ago, or I guess now 5 years ago, a book, Please Don't Sleep with the Host, 50 Tips for Managing a Functional and Profitable Restaurant. And it's to managers saying, look, you're going to be tempted. I know you're going to be tempted. And I'm not telling you to not do it. I'm just saying you should probably not do it, right? Because you're just...
It's funny you say that. My wife used to work in restaurant management when she was younger, her previous career, if you will. And they had to move a manager one time because he was on his 5th or 6th conquest within that unit. And they were like, we probably need to have you somewhere else. So
it's so true.
Anyway,
at the same time, I will say this, and it's a touchy subject for me because I met my wife at a restaurant that I managed.
So
Right.
I'm going to say is the extension is that I've learned from people is unless you're going to marry her.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah, it's but we didn't even start dating until I actually changed to a different location.
Okay.
That's
So-
amazing.
So it was I tried really hard, and well, I say I tried really hard to screw it up a lot, but she kept me from making that mistake by telling me no. But then we, finally figured it all out. But
It's that's the philosophy inside the whole book is like, this isn't all black and white, right? So we're going to talk through things. We're going to talk through, this is a culture and we have to work together to kind of move through it together. And that's a bit about us and in the backstory of getting into it. I mean, some start with dishwasher. I started at Burger King, deeming myself the King Whopper Topper. And my mom at 14 years old, my mom had a little retail store across the street. And
hold on a second.
yeah.
At
Faster,
14
cleaner.
years old, you've never told me this story. At 14 years old, you deemed yourself the King Whopper Topper.
I challenged every motherfucker in that place too. I came in just like, boom, and they knew me as, and I was like, I'm taking you all down.
That is outstanding.
And it was, faster, cleaner. It's where I got into it. So I started BOH. Yeah.
Look, so
they're like, you can't call yourself that. I'm like, if I applaud for myself, I call myself the king. I just gotta back it up.
As you well know, as you well know, I've really been working hard on my thumbnail game.
Yeah.
And I have to say, you just came up with a title for the thumbnail of this episode.
King Whopper Topper.
King Whopper Topper.
Yeah, it stuck because you can't pick your name. You're right, Derry. You can't pick your name on the playground. Let's say, like if the nickname goes, but you can. I just came out of the gates swinging, and King.
That is
and
outstanding.
as it worked through.
Imagine 14-year-old Jason Berkowitz walking in. Whopper Topper's here, baby. Like, let's go.
Yes.
Challenging.
That's exactly how it went in my head. So.
Yeah, challenging Greg across the line because you have the flame broiler and I put it through. I'm like, faster. You're slacking. Everyone's talking about how much you're slacking, Greg. I just need you to know. Like, you've worked here for 3 weeks. I'm like, and everyone's talking about you've been here 2 years and you're slow.
Greg's on his second piece of greenery for the day, and we're not talking about lettuce. And
Yeah.
Berkowitz over like, let's go, baby.
I'm like, I've already
incredible.
literally salt the fries, lined up everything, and I still beat 3 Whoppers before the next set of patties came out.
Man, I did
Get your
not
shit
expect
together,
that from
Greg.
my wife.
That is Berkowitz. That is probably one of the best stories I've heard from you.
That's great. It's
incredible.
true, and it's totally true. And they knew me as I was an obsessive customer first because I went in there, I mean, 4 or 5 days a week after school eating, and then I just begged to get a job there. And so they all kind of knew me already, and they just I came in swinging. I loved
That's
it.
great.
Once I put that, when I went home and I got that uniform and I put that visor on, it was just like I found myself.
That was the
know.
crown.
That was the crown. It really was. Like nothing else gave me this sense of self and confidence and purpose as that did. So that took me. That's where we began. Then I went over to a local coffee shop, and so punk 16-year-old Jason went to the local. I'm like, you are leaving so much money on the table. What are you doing with these beans? This is terrible. You're not catering to this crowd. You should be doing music night. What's going on with this? Why are you letting these people sit for this long? Why are you trying to sell Jamaica Blue Mountain at $40 a pound in Beechwood, Ohio? I bet you that. I said that same bean for 2 years I've been coming in. I haven't seen that thing drop at all. She's like, who are you?
King Whopper Topper to you.
Yeah. Oh, no.
So
Bean
not
counter
to,
at
not
that
to
point.
derail the Whopper Topper, but Jason, we have a couple of segments on the show, and
Wait, can I interject, please?
yes,
Please.
yes.
I had a kid who graduated, and his nickname was Burger King because one day a kid looked over at him and goes, "You look like you enjoy Burger King." And that was that. It stuck. So we called the kid Burger King. I wish I still knew him because I would call him King Whopper Topper just to make it come full circle.
That's great.
Did he push back? Did he embrace that nickname?
No,
or did he push
completely
back?
embraced it. 100,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. You
walked
gotta do
in with the waxy Burger King cup, like for breakfast one morning, fully took it on, like had no
Yeah.
problem with it.
I feel
That's
like
great.
if you're in Derry's class, you have to embrace your nickname because you're going to get
You
one.
don't get a
Yeah.
choice. If you get a nickname, it's yours. I've got a
It's
kid
yours.
right now we call Biscuit.
Oh, you've taught me. You've told us about Biscuit before.
He loves it. He absolutely loves it. And there's kids. There was a kid that graduated years ago. His name's Pork Chop. When I see him on the street, I still call him Pork Chop.
Yeah.
And I'm the only one that calls him that. But Pork Chop.
Yeah, it's endearing.
It is, and they don't see that at first. I've had 2 kids named Rooster. The second one was not as excitable about it, but he finally embraced it. So,
Well,
finally
it's
joined
how you
the
got the
club.
name. It's
Right.
like because you're loud and annoying, and you know
his was bed
not
hair.
great.
So that was
that's great. I mean, I
accurate.
kind of
He didn't
rocking it
care.
right now.
yeah, right. No,
I love it. I love it.
Absolutely.
So
All right,
Sorry.
let's make this good for the listeners. Get on track. Let's go. Here we go.
That's right.
we have a couple of different segments in the show. We have a Friday Feel Good. We have our mac and beans. We've talked about lessons. Derry and I believe that we need to add another segment to the show, and we have a couple that we're kind of tossing around. One of them, Derry just heard about, and then the other one, Derry and I have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. So we'll start with the one that we just started, and it's toast. So when I joined the customer advisory board with Toast, they asked everybody what your favorite toast was. Now my immediate brain went to like I'm at a wedding reception and I'm trying to give a toast. So I'm sitting there as they're going around the room and, okay, what's my favorite toast that I can say in an executive setting and professional, and I can't really think of any
Didn't have
off
one.
the top of my head. And then when they started going around the room, it wasn't that. It was, what's your favorite breakfast toast? So, number one, do you have a toast that would be appropriate for our listeners? And 2, what's your favorite breakfast toast?
My first one is look out for number 1. Don't step in number 2 from from the great Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Look out for number 1. Don't step in number 2. Oh, yes.
Pretty simple, right?
Yeah.
Rodney Dangerfield's a good one. We used to have what I really did love, though, as a true one, is I lived in Spain for a little while studying, and before you drink, right? Arriba, abajo, al centro, pa dentro, right? To the top, to the bottom, sent to the center, inside. And I love that they always did that before kicking off drinks is fun. I mean, isn't it obvious? Anyone who knows what they're talking about is going to say French toast. The question is what French toast and how. I don't like it thick. I like it thin, but I'm going to change it up a little bit. A nice thin piece of sourdough toasted, peanut butter on top, spread it. Take a banana, slice it over perfectly, just cover it all, just a little bit of slices, and then a little bit of honey on top of it. And that with a cup of coffee, I'm just a happy guy.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I got a half loaf of sourdough at the house.
Yeah. I'm sitting here going, do I have all that at the house right now? Might make that for dinner.
Yeah, you usually do, right? Just banana, peanut butter, and toast, and then you make something
great.
Something special.
I've been on a banana kick recently anyways.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's great.
I made a bananas Foster with smoked ice cream the other day. Yeah. So, we'll try something else out now.
That sounds fantastic.
I'm not going to say it was bad.
Yeah.
It was pretty tasty. Yeah. We when we make it, I kind of put pecans in there with the banana, so it kind of candies the pecans as well to go in there with the smoked ice cream and a hoe cake, and it all just kind of, it makes a happy pairing. It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
that's good stuff.
Next time you're in Nashville, I'll make you one.
All right.
So then the other segment that we were talking about is if you could have dinner with one person, past, present, or future, who would it be?
I really, Ben Franklin. I just kind of want to see like somebody who achieved so much. And I read his autobiography. I just kind of want to see this guy after a couple bottles of wine and just letting it down and deconstruct and then just get in the weeds and see, because I feel like he can go so low and so high at the same time that I think he would be absolutely fun, of one of the greatest minds and innovators of our time.
And wasn't he fairly young, man?
No, not. I mean, who knows? You aged and looked. That's all relative, to what young is. As I'm 50 in that sense. So, but I think he hit his 60s. But all that he did is absolutely insane, and I just think it'd be fun to get drunk with.
It would definitely be a good time.
I was completely wrong. He was 70 in 1776.
So yeah, good.
Not a young man.
No, he lived a long time, especially for that time period.
You bring up the him after a bottle of wine. Have y'all ever seen that list of what was supposedly on the tab of George Washington and the Founding Fathers when they went through the whole thing?
No.
It is a. Give me just a second. I'm going to try to stumble my way through this and see if they can. The bar tab was still intact. They found it somewhere, blah, blah, blah. It was a 1787 farewell party for George Washington, and it was left intact. It included 54 bottles of Madera, 60 bottles of Claret, I don't know how you say that, 8 bottles of whiskey, 22 bottles of porter, 8 bottles of hard cider, 12 of beer, and 7 bowls of an alcoholic punch. There were only 55 people in attendance.
That's the key.
So that's I mean, look, they had a good time or something.
Yeah, I want to party 1780 style.
That's right. That's exactly what we want to do.
Forget like it's 1999.
That's right.
I feel like the proof on most of that alcohol was like 130.
Oh man, it probably was. They
like
could
that.
Stand it up. That's right.
Yeah.
Pull out the lighter.
New definition of flaming Dr. Pepper.
There it is.
Right? Gosh.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I didn't know how to say two of those words though. Is it claret or claret? Do either of you know?
I didn't see the word.
CLARET.
Yeah,
claret.
claret. I've botched them both. I've botched
Okay.
them both ways.
Is
I
it a
think,
wine?
I think the T's silent.
Okay.
One of us ran a company with the word bar in it, but
I'm sorry. Was he talking to me?
Yeah, he's talking to you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the T is silent.
There you go. From the bar guy.
from the bar guy.
From the bar guy. That's
me.
outstanding. Okay. So we get past the King Whopper Topper. What is next? Because King Whopper Topper and barista does not get you excited about restaurant and hospitality.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did this stuff of working through college, right, and working at coffee houses and restaurants, and just loved the vibe of what hospitality is and what the room was, and just that feeling. And still, even today, tell me we're going to a concert, first tell me that we're going to a great, awesome restaurant. I'm, instead of maybe a handful of artists, I'm choosing the restaurant. I just love the vibe and the people in the room and the entire experience. So I was hooked on that early. Got a degree in psychology at Michigan State, and that's what I was kind of working and help support. And that helped.
Pause. Hold on. We've gone from King Whopper Topper to barista, and now we're doing psychology at Michigan State.
Hey,
Where did that come from? That is not a logical path, Jason.
Well, it's when you want to go to college and you really don't know what you want to be or do. So you pick communications or psychology, and like
Got it.
Business management.
Yeah, wasn't in the fold. My business management was learning restaurants and running restaurants is and I learned that it wasn't in college that I learned the two most important words: cash flow. That's when I actually got into life and managing books. And my thought, I will tell you this. So I think you know this, Charlie, but my origin in hospitality is my family business. I'm fourth generation funeral director's son. So Derry. So there's literally 4 generations. My name was on the building of the local funeral home in 1918 is when it started. And so I have had hospitality and service in my blood through 4 generations. And I think that was a piece of what got me excited about psychology in essence, because it's what you are as a funeral director, is you're almost a therapist per se, because you're helping people through some of the most difficult times. Right. And here's a story. I remember I watched my father, who's an extremely proud man, just get berated by a customer once, or somebody we were taking care of, and about something that was absolutely ridiculous. And when the guy left, I looked at my dad, and I was there because I was working there at a young age too. I was washing cars, topping Whoppers, going on runs, doing stuff. And I looked at my dad, I'm like, how did you not knock that guy out? And he was like, look, we take people at their lowest point in life, right? Like this person, they're burying somebody they love. They're scared. They haven't slept. This was nothing to do with what he was yelling about. We just needed to be that person that he could let go and release it. And that's all I needed to be. And we just need to know who we need to be for somebody, and to know that it has nothing to do with us. And that was an amazing lesson that carried over through hospitality. Even to the point where probably very good thick skin or compassion or empathy, when troubled clients would come back, they would hand them to me. They're like, Berkowitz, you got patience, go, and empathy, go deal with this. But back to the question of psychology, I think it was ingrained, this idea of people who are hurting and how we take care of them, and the element of how you move through something. And all of this was always ingrained in me. And side note, other fun thing, just speaking in completely off topic, but it's where I learned a lot about the perfection in details. And my father, I remember one moment I went back into the garage and he was having an argument with an employee because it was raining that day. And my dad was like, how come the hearse wasn't cleaned before we pulled it out, onto the line? And the guy was like, it's raining. No one's going to see it. And my dad's philosophy was, the second that car pulls out, even in that split second, they'll see it before the rain hits it, before the dirty happens, before anything. If they don't think we're taking care of the things that they can see, how do they trust us for all the things that they can't?
Right.
And he had turned to me. He's like, Jason, every single detail, always. I don't care if there's a piece of paper across the room. I don't care if I don't care if it's raining. Every single detail is perfect of what we can control. And so a lot of it really ingrained and kind of pushed me to move into psychology, and then carry over my level of expectations and how much I love, the restaurant game, and the ability to actually deliver an experience on a level of perfection. Is really fun. So I know I went off topic, but I thought it was a cool story to kind of tie into what drives my focus.
No, I love that. I am pretty obsessed about my front door. It's an all glass front door. The whole front of my restaurant's glass.
Yeah.
And I get super upset about the front door being dirty, because if we can't make sure that is clean,
right,
and that looks great, how are we going to do anything else?
So how do you solve that? How are you handling that? For the listeners, I had an incredible experience, at Single Tree, and ate my face off, and everyone was fantastic. I saw Charlie in moments of coaching with his team where there were certain things I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You actually had to explain that to somebody. That was just, to us, so obvious.
Right. It's the same thing. It's we have to start with opening eyes, right? Because your average, team member at the restaurant level is, 18 to 25. And they may not have your father or my father or grandfather who was extremely detail oriented and made you pay attention. I got in trouble driving down the road one day because I couldn't remember the color of a car that was 2 cars behind us that we passed. Great. And it was it was simply a lesson of pay attention to the details and your surroundings, right? So which was a life lesson that I remember to this day. My dad doesn't even remember teaching me that.
That's some born identity stuff.
Right. Yeah. But it had nothing to do with the car. It had everything to do with, I was too busy, thinking about sunshine and rainbows and not what was going on around me.
Right.
And so I'm trying to do that same thing with, I'll go through around the restaurant and just say, hey, anything out of place? And, it forces the team to look around. And then they go, ooh, now they've gotten to the point to where I've said it enough to where they pay attention to the front door, and the front door stays clean.
Sidebar, Derry, do you think, so Derry's wearing a shirt that says 1776. Do you think that subliminally influenced my answer? I didn't realize it.
No, and here's why I think that. Earlier, I was right here.
Yeah, is that what it is?
It wasn't.
I'm like, you're wearing a 1776, and we're talking about the barbell and Ben Franklin.
Right.
That was just...
I noticed it after I brought it up, because I did sit up to check my phone and I stayed centered then, and I'm seeing where my camera angle is. I should stay more postured here in the middle. Wow. But I started out the show leaning to my left, so we're good.
I was going to say yes, that it did influence it, because I didn't look at the screen when he said it, but I knew you had that shirt on already. So, but hey, subliminally, maybe you saw it when we started.
So it's great. So let's unpack this, Charlie.
Let's do it.
It's because everyone's trying to figure this out, right? And especially smaller operators or independent businesses. And I'm a co-founder of the Independent Hospitality Coalition in Los Angeles, nonprofit. We got 1,200 restaurants. And, you know, a lot of people are just trying to figure out, and we talk about today's generation and different things like that. And I think it's comfortable to say there was something that was very obvious. I watched you, right? We can talk. I watched you be very, oh my God, incredibly gentle and talk to an 18-year-old and say, actually, we don't want to hand the customer a warm can of beer that we just literally, like, don't take it off the shelf. You ran out of beer, or you didn't, or whatever it was. I'm not getting that. But they took the one off the back shelf for display and handed it to the guest. You just would think like, but you're like, well, no, they probably haven't had, you probably put your foot through the wall later on, but they haven't had this. So you had to, you know, talk them through. Do you put that on a checklist? Probably not, right? You don't want to over checklist the idea of like, and make sure every time, you know, are all beers of temp, you know, like those are the kind of things that you kind of have to catch. But when we go to the door, I think it's about awareness. And I'm not a fan of, I mean, I'm not afraid of the running side work. And it's hard when you run light staffed and everything like this. But something else that has been coming up recently that was actually in the book that I wrote, and we're going to make a course on this in December because people are asking for it, is the figure eight. And if people know about it, right? And so the figure eight is you start at one point in the restaurant, you walk through, you hit your particular points that you're going to see. And then if you have to stop because you're fixing something and you get pulled away, you go back to where you stopped and then you walk. So it's the way that, you know, you check the front door, you check the restroom, you check the pathway, the things that matter. And the idea is that you put a system into place. I would say it's part of the training. It's part of, but I think it's part of the hourly figure eight or the 30-minute figure eight or whoever is doing the running side work, and they build that into it. Because you're right, if that's something that matters to you.
Look, I have a very small team, so for me, it's
I know
it's a little bit easier to teach and develop and train at a quick rate because I can spend that much time with those people, and walking around my restaurant. One of the things that my team had to adjust to, and any new team members have to adjust to, is when I see it, I say something about it. And so you've heard me talk to my team. I'm very monotone, level-headed, you know, it's a conversation.
Very level-headed.
You know, we don't, I tell people all the time, man, I'm way too gray-headed to raise my blood pressure that much more and add more gray hair. That's not where I'm at anymore. My job is to teach, develop, and train my team to be able to do it without me looking. And if I see it, then we call it out and we talk about it, and we talk about the whys. We had an issue yesterday, and we served something that we shouldn't have served. And I had pictures, and I got a message, and we handled it the whole 9 yards. We took care of it. We made the guest happy. But on the backside of it, you have to handle those things immediately. If you don't do it when it's happening, then you're silently approving the fact that it's okay. And you don't have to yell and scream to get your point across to train and develop people. The old school method of, you know, when I was a cook, of getting tomatoes thrown at me because the chef didn't like what I was doing doesn't fly.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that to train and develop people. You can have a conversation. Look, they're 18 years old. They're adults. They're 25 years old. They're 30. They're 50 years old. You know, they're grown people working. You know, have a conversation like they are grown people. And you know, I've been telling my team a lot lately, I'm not a good manager. I'm an awful manager. I'm the owner. I got a vision, and I'm going after that vision, and I'm trying to grow and build this brand and lead us to the right direction. My job is, I can teach you, I can lead you, but I'm not good at managing people.
Right.
I can help you walk through the process and teach you how to cook a brisket, But the yes sirs and the no sirs and the hospitality, you have to come to the table with already. You know, how to slice a lemon, I got you. Don't serve a can of beer that just came off the truck. Get one that's in the cooler. You know, we got to teach those things sometimes. And I'm finding more and more that, you know, we can't get upset about it. We just have to coach it.
Yeah, you have to coach it. So on my trajectory, you know, landing this back in the path of I did a lot of restaurant work and I became a manager and worked through. And along the way, I learned that, and this goes into this, I learned that everyone wants to know two things, you know, for the employees. What's my job and how am I doing? And what's my job is what we set in the expectations, and it's in the training, and it's in the how you like things, and that you've made it clear that the door matters to you. How am I doing is in the feedback mechanism. And sometimes it's in the immediate, and sometimes what's my job gets taught based on a feedback because you didn't think you'd have to teach it. And sometimes it's more regular, and sometimes it's in a checklist, and whatever it is, sometimes it's planned and sometimes it's in the moment. But if we can honestly say as leaders, and you talk about being a leader over a manager, is am I putting a path in place that I'm clearly communicating these two things that I'm not asking you to guess for? You know what you know what good looks like, you know what great looks like, and you know how you're doing is really, really important. And I became obsessed over this. And so my job for years for a couple different companies was I would come in, and whether it be a director to a COO, and the first thing I would do is say, nobody talked to me for 30 days. I'm not even opening up my email, because the second I respond to something and I'm reactive, I'm done. Now I'm playing, I know the game of operations. And once I'm working on what's urgent, I'm no longer able to work on what's important before it becomes urgent. And so I would take the first 30 days and put a full training program together for every single position, checklist, training, SOPs, the whole SOP, and then just in paper, and get everybody's buy-in and get behind the line and do this, and then roll that out and say, okay, cool. What's my sign into my email? Do you know what I mean? Because I knew setting that up, and it's kind of what you're talking about. It's very much carrying that over to it, setting up at least that I knew. And you're going to add to it, and there's things you might not have thought about, but at least making sure I communicated all of those things that matter to us as a brand and as a company was my responsibility. And if I didn't do it and you didn't do it, well, that's on me, right? That's on me being a leader.
So I want to take a second and kind of go a different direction. And because there's a story you have that I think is pretty cool. But before we get to that, we have a segment that's called Mac or Beans. And in this segment, it's a this or that segment. And you have to pick, when you go into a barbecue joint, do you get the mac and cheese or do you get the beans?
Yeah, mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
I was ready for this.
You were ready.
You know, when people... Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. When I hear people say beans sometimes, then people say yours, and I know you're mac and cheese. Absolutely. But I'm mac and cheese. And I also like the mac and cheese is, you know, I hadn't thought about it this way. So here's what's cool. I opened up a sushi restaurant, Katsuya, in Los Angeles. We worked with some of the best sushi chefs. And in talking one day, really getting to know the leader, I said, how you know, we talked about the hole in the wall sushi restaurants, whether it be Japan and whatnot. And I said, what do you know? And he said, you order the tamago first. And the tamago is the egg. Now you could pre-buy it, and apparently they could tell if it's been pre-pot. But if they make tamago there, which is egg, it's the egg sushi where they just layer it. They cook it ever so clean, and then they layer it and they fold it and they fold it. So it's just like 10 layers of an egg, you know, scrambled egg rolled out. You've seen it, it's the yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're like, if that's great there and they homemade it, well, then they've got a great chef there. And no great chef who could achieve a great tamago will work at a restaurant with crappy fish. They just won't do it. And it was such a cool insight of what you look for. And I hadn't connected the dots here, but you know, mac and cheese, you can kind of see if it's like been sitting or not right? Or did they evenly get the coating of where it's a little bit colored and beautiful char or not? What's the density of the noodle? Did they think about the al dente of the noodle? It gets heated and reheated or not? It's kind of the tamago when you look at it before I know what kind of meat did you actually invest in that you've roasted before me that I know nothing about and can be hidden, but maybe it's terrible quality per se or broken down. So mac and cheese could be a bit of a tamago.
I love that.
Canary in the coal mine.
Yeah. So along with that, we're going to ruffle some feathers. With this one. Kobe or Jordan?
I mean, you know where my respect lies.
I do, and that's the whole reason I asked the question.
Derry, you know the story? It's fun.
I don't know your story, no.
So
I just know I have a disdain for this question.
So I don't talk about this. It came out right. We'd known each other a while before.
Yes.
I
knew Jason for at least 2 years before I heard this story.
Okay. Well, I've known him for 41 minutes.
So at 10 years old, I was a professional break dancer that literally was traveling all around, the Midwest. Opened up for Gladys Knight and the Pips and the OJs and whatnot, and no training, no nothing. Took a class, ended up teaching the class a couple of months later. So I was just a Jew with rhythm, which was rare. And I was
gonna say that the King of Whoppers was it, but you might have just changed it.
Just a Jew with rhythm. It's a rare thing.
It's King Whopper Topper still, but I respect it.
And so kind of carried over years later and was like, Stomp was kind of big. And it was when you bang on trash cans and whatnot. I was like, that'd be fun. And I went to audition up in San Francisco. And I didn't get it, but I got close enough that they moved me down to LA. And that's when I moved to LA in 97 and put me in a instead of Stomp, if everyone knows, it was you banged on trash cans and brooms, and it was making musical instruments with everything you had. And it was a traveling Broadway show or off-Broadway show. So I say they put me in Stump, not Stomp. It was like the crappier version of it.
Just close enough, right?
Just close enough. But it got me an agent and it got me, down in LA. And I'm like, all right, this is kind of fun. And so no training, no nothing. And maybe a week into it, and this is LA. It's so funny. It's like a week into it, I get a call from my now agent. Jason, this is Lucille. I'm your agent. How are you doing? It's great. We're so excited you're on board. Fantastic. How good of a tapper are you? I've never tap danced a day in my life. Okay, but you Stomp. Yeah, sure. I've got rhythm. Okay, we'll be back. Hey, Jason, this is Jen. I'm your agent. She gets on the phone. So would you say you're like medium to expert level tapping? Jen, I've literally never put on tap shoes in my life, but yes, I've got rhythm. Okay, but you can Stomp in rhythm. Yes, another girl. And this is just the ridiculous of LA. Then somebody else gets on. Do you think you could teach tap dancing? And I'm like, what the hell is this about? And they're like, I'm like, really? I'm like, is this Los Angeles? Is this how this gets done? And I'm like, they're like, all right, we've got a client wants to learn how to tap dance. We have to keep it secret. We can't tell you until the day before, but could you teach them tap dancing? And I'm like, okay, why me? They're like, we just know you're going to vibe. It's just your rhythm. Your vibes are going to go together. It's such LA in the 90s. I'm like, great. I'm like, all right, I will do this. Yes, I will be ready to teach this individual a tap lesson. 98, 99, 97. And so I go and I take a lesson. And then literally the morning of, they're like, be here. It's Kobe Bryant. And I'm like, say what? And they're like, yeah, it's Kobe. The NBA was on strike. They were off. He wants to learn how to tap dance. He knows that Michael Jordan learned ballet and wanted to work on his rhythm and his move. I was like, all right, this is cool. And so I pulled up and I met him, and he's like, show me what you got. And so, I go back to, I started breakdancing and like doing different, not a moonwalk. There's like this forward moonwalk thing that I did. And he was like, that is cool. And then at the end, I like did a couple tap things that I showed him. And he's like, all right. And I'm like, so what are we doing here? And he's like, all right. And he told me the story of Michael Jordan. He's like, he just kind of wants to, maybe we could have fun doing rhythm and stuff, but he really wanted to work on his footwork. And he's like, I got to work on my footwork. I got to be better. He was a younger player. I'm like, all right, well, I just took the first lesson of my life. He's like, really? He's like, I was like, yeah, listen, I showed up ready to go. I said, I'll make you a deal. What are we doing? He's like, let's meet every week, a couple times a week sometimes. I said, deal. I will be ahead of you every week. I'll make sure that I come in ahead of you, ready to go, knowing I'll be able to train you and teach you. He's like, cool. And so we literally worked together off and on over like 3 months. There was this one time I had him like really working on his footwork. I'm like, all right, I'm going to push you off balance, right? And I'm kind of knocking with him, and I pushed him a little too hard, and he just kind of like that Kobe look. I was like, I'm so sorry. He's like, no, I'm sorry. You saw the lion inside of him.
That animal was awakened.
The mamba was awakened. And I was like, too hard. He was like, no, good. I'm like, too hard. I'm like, but remember, I'm this tall. And so he was awesome and was so cool and so funny. The funny part was I couldn't tell anybody that was the rule. And I was actually also choreographing the Laker girls on the side because my agent thought it would be good. And LA's just a strange place. And like, I couldn't tell them. And one day my roommate comes home and he's sitting there, right? Just kind of like, just looking at me, sitting at the table, like tapping his fingers, he's just like, I'm like, what's going on? He's like, play the answering machine. And I'm like, what's up? And I played the answering machine. He's like, yo, Jay, it's Kobe. I'm sorry, I can't make it tomorrow. I'll call you later. I'll see you next week. Is that who I think that is?
Yep.
How long have you been friends with Kobe Bryant? And I'm literally your roommate. I'm like, I couldn't tell anybody. He's like, you can tell me, you could tell me. And so that's, and then later on, it came out, right? The book came out, the stuff came out. Here's, and I forgot about this side of it. Here's a fun part of the story though. A great Kobe part of the story. I hadn't seen him then in 2 years. My dad, okay, I'll be quick. My father runs into him 2 years later in Vegas. My dad's sitting with his buddies at dinner. Kobe walks by. My dad puts his hand out. Kobe shakes it. My dad stands up. He goes, I'm sorry to bug you. A couple of years ago, you took tap dancing from this little 5 foot. He goes, Jason. And then, so all the boys at the table, like, my dad's boys.
Dad had it in.
Son of a bitch. He's telling the truth. So he's like, tell him hi, this and that. I run into Kobe 2 years after that. And the first thing he says to me is, I met your dad in Vegas. I'm like, listen, all of Cleveland knows that you met my dad in Vegas. And it just is like, he was so who's your choice, Derry? Who's is it?
My problem with the Jordan Kobe discussion is Kobe tailored so much of what he did after Jordan. So how do you not give the nod to the mentor?
Yeah.
But I have always, I've heard that discussion in lots of different settings through, different classes or kids talking on campus or whatever. And they always want to bypass Kobe and always want to say LeBron or Jordan. I'm like, hang on, that's not the discussion. It's Kobe or Jordan. And that just upsets them even more. But for me, the nod, you go to the mentor. Just like you were saying, he found out he learned ballet somewhere to help with his footwork. So I've got to do that too. And have you ever seen some of those overlays where they show Kobe side by side with Jordan and like the motions and the movement are almost just too identical?
Yeah.
he truly was a student of not just the game of basketball, but of Michael Jordan. And Tim Grover's got a book called Relentless where he talks about both of them, and just that like you talked about pushing him, and the look came out. They don't ever turn it off. They may be able to kind of subdue it a little bit or whatever, but it's never turned off. And so in that moment, that was a competitive thing for you or for him,
right?
Even though you're just like, hey, I'm just doing this week's lesson. So I'm always going to give the nod to the mentor, though. Like Jordan's just going to get that because that was who he was emulating in that essence. But I don't think you can look back at the NBA and think that it was anything like it was through the 2000s without Kobe Bryant. That doesn't take away anything from what LeBron did at his age, but without Kobe Bryant, there's a lot of years there where, I mean, Shaq did well, but Shaq did better with Kobe. And like, that's just the truth of the matter. So
everyone did.
Everyone
My father
did.
likes to tell people that they won their first championship after a little Jew with rhythm taught them how to break how to tap dance.
See?
They come back and won their championship. So I'm not saying maybe, it's Jordan and me, but
just you gotta put a little salt, on top of the French fries.
you got to put a little salt on it. But I won't applaud myself there. I humbly.
No, I love it. That's fun because that gives a side of not just athletes, but of professionals who are trying to take their craft to that next step. They're going to find that way. And even if it is just some guy who's learning how to tap himself. And I find that ironic because where our studio is years and years ago used to have tap lessons at the other end of the building, and my daughters were in it. And I cracked up because I was like, they're never going to get this. And my oldest daughter's going to be 20 soon, and she was doing it when she was 11 or 12 or so. She still remembers a lot of the steps. And she hasn't done it in, 9 years or more. And she still remembers. And so you bring that up, and I'm like, those are things that stay with you. So I'm sure Kobe Bryant was just sitting there, or he's not going to do tap on the floor, but that footwork thing, because they used to tell athletes to take dance. I know a lot of the linebackers in football, they tell them to take dance just for being able to move your hips to stay in balance. So
and learn how to loosen up their ankles. I mean, we would sit there and work on like those things that it plays repetitive over and over again, and he would practice and come back. So it absolutely, I mean, even just in staying healthy, it's that idea of where you're just learning the details and how to get your body to respond in unique ways, especially your ankles.
Right. Just basketball. That mobility for what he did. I mean, it's absolutely wild.
Well, to fast forward from, the king Whopper Topper to baristas and teaching Kobe Bryant how to tap dance. Now we have a psychology degree, restaurant operations, and now you are teaching other people how to teach and how to be safe. So where did Arrow Up training begin? Where did that start? What was the catalyst that says, hey, this is needed? You got that, Derry?
It happens to the best of us.
I was trying real hard to hold it in there.
I saw it moving. I was like, please don't.
Yeah. I don't know how family friendly show this is.
They make a pill for that.
They made a pill for that. Limp Dairy. All right, here we go. So
wow.
My dream was an out of the box. Here's how you run a restaurant. Here's training. Here's a way of doing stuff out of the box. Because there's so many mom and pop shops that open up, and they don't have all of that world class experience that they're able to bottle up into. What's my job? How am I doing? And I was ready to come out of the gates to do that, where you just literally, you turn it on and here's your 5-day server training, because the majority of it is the same for everybody. You get into how to cook, how to do things, but if you're quick service, cashiering is cashiering, right? Greet the fifth person in line, smile when they walk in the door, serving, what's upselling, all this stuff. But I was talked out of it and told no independents are going to buy that. and this is, 7 years, but hey, they need compliance training, and you talk about the gray area a lot, and you talk about this idea of the misfits and how to coach them through. And so we started with anti-harassment, and it ended up being great because it was a mandatory course in a lot of places, and we got to put our spin on it. And then we moved to safety. And then the insurance brokers came on board and were like, this is good. Can you do more of this? And we started to really lean in further. And at that point, what was really cool was a lot of our guests and clients that we worked with came to us and said, well, now we need help with leadership development. And this is, how do you get a 20-year-old to have an awkward conversation with a 20-year-old, right? And how do you get them to, in the moment, because you're not there, Charlie. How do they, if they're the shift lead, feel that they've been trained, or they feel empowered enough to say, hey, let's try to work on the warm beer. Like, how do they do this? And if we don't give them these tools, they're going to avoid it. And that affects compliance and risk and liability, obviously the experience, but it's safety, it's everything bottled. So we've been doing this with courses. What's kind of fun is we're starting to loop back around now to the original idea, which is this out of the box toolkit. That is, you turn it on, we got your safety, we got your compliance, we got your checklists, and we've got your leadership development, and we've got your ongoing weekly courses. And we're starting to fold in the introductory courses and things like this that are building into it. So at the core level, our big, ticket items are we work with some of the largest brands. It's fantastic in the world, and we license courses to them. What I'm really excited by, and to probably a lot of your listeners, is where we're moving again, which is, helping your under 10 units, your mom and pop shops, with these out of the box tools that says, listen, just turn it on. Absolutely, you should train this. Absolutely, you should train that. Here's a path for your leaders. Develop your supervisors into leaders. Just turn it on. We've got everything. All they have to do is sign in and see it, get a regular rhythm. And what we're doing now is leveraging. And if you want that data to say, cool, you've been doing this for a period of time. Well, we've got insurance companies that are waiting to know who the good ones are, and they're going to start paying for us. And they're going to start offsetting the credits even more than what you would spend on us. They're going to start offsetting these credits. And I've got this vision that's starting to come into line that says maybe the restaurants will still keep some skin in the game, but I want it to be an all you can eat out of the box solution that you would turn this on, Charlie. And you keep the identity, but here's your leadership, here's your compliance, here's all this. But you're saving on these other costs through insurance and all these other things. And while we're helping you lower turnover and build an experience on the front end, we got people incentivizing you on the back end. And I really believe that insurance carriers are going to play a much bigger role in the future of our profitability, because when we win and stay in business, and I'm still a restaurant partner, they stay in business.
Yeah.
And so there's some really cool stuff that's coming down the pipeline. But for anybody listening, hey, listen, you need your anti-harassment, you need your safety, and you need some leadership development. And we'll just get you going on that now to get you in the gate.
How do people find Arrow Up to get signed up, get located, all the stuff?
arrowuptraining.com. You got everything you need there. And then just reach out to me, Jason, at arrowuptraining.com.
I love it.
And
can you sign up? Is there a sign up form on the website?
You can automatically purchase, but what we find is most people, everybody still wants to talk to us, and we're fine. We want to do it. Right.
Yeah,
and
of course.
And what a lot of people are doing right now, and if you're asking, like, it's just the lowest lift that just says, cool, how do I just get in the game? Sign in. Say you got 4 managers you want to train. Cool. Here's 4 courses. Here's 4 links. Let them just get started. Just be done with it. Oh, you want to do safety? Great. Here's a link for that. Everyone signs themselves up. They get a certificate. We'll charge you afterwards. Just be done with it. We've made it so low friction that you just literally it's just easy and you get going. And then that's what I'm saying is people are coming back to us now and saying, all right, I want to get on the bigger plan. But we just get you in the door with something light and something simple and help you cover your bases.
That's outstanding. I love it. I love it. Derry, you got a Friday feel good for us somewhere?
I do. I've gone back and forth between two of them, and I try to pick them ahead of time and kind of see where I'm going. But today, stop trying to make everyone like you. You don't even like everyone. Make sure you're giving yourself room to grow, but don't worry about the outliers that just don't see, because honestly, takers have no limits and they'll keep beating you up and wearing you down. You don't have to like everyone, and they're not going to like you, and that's okay. Y'all know what to do. Find somebody you know. Tell them you love them.
That's outstanding. I love it.
A little harsh today, but not as feel good.
So I'm going to finish this with another quick story. On the road with the band, we would stay in people's couches, and people would be nice to you. And there was this one person I thought was so cool. But I could tell he didn't like the music we were playing. And I was so distraught. Then we went back to his house, and he's like, put on some music. And it was like 200 CDs at the time. And literally Pearl Jam was the only thing we could agree on. And I sat there and I was like, I had an existential crisis because I thought this person didn't like our music. I don't like any of the music they like. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, and I was like, at 3 a.m, I had this aha moment of, Derry, what you're kind of saying at that point, right? It's that idea of I don't even like what they like. What do I care that they like?
That's exactly right.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah, I love it, Jason. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, my friend. I can't thank you enough. I wish we could talk for another hour, because I know there's quite a few other stories that we didn't get to today. But we'll save those for next time.
Our producer's starting to stretch over here, so we better.
Yeah. He knows. But look, again, I thank you very much. Guys, you know what to do. If you want to get involved with the show, please feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at charlie@singletreebbq.com. You can call me at 615-307-0120. Thank you again to Toast for being our primary partner here in the studio and at the restaurant to provide our undeniable hospitality and the perfect plate of barbecue. Make sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. We air every Saturday morning on ESPN 94.9 if you want to catch us there. And until next time, guys, we'll see you then.
Y'all be good.
Good.